Hello and welcome to Connecting Hope. I'm Will Hampton along with Monica GREER, and we're here to talk about, well, so many things. But really the show is brought to you by the Hamilton County Council on Alcohol and Other Drugs.
You got it.
I've got it.
You got it.
Tell our viewers, as we do appreciate everyone watching, but tell our viewers a little bit about what the council is and what it does.
Yeah, the council, we give a lot of grants out to the community. A lot of people don't know this about us, but if somebody's arrested with a drug or alcohol offense, they pay, if they're convicted, they pay a countermeasure fee, which is an alcohol or drug interdiction fee of $200. And those dollars, 75% of them stay within the county, and we give them out in grant form, prevention, treatment, and law enforcement grants to agencies in Hamilton County to be able to help others in the community.
Now, there are 92 counties in
Yes.
Indiana.
Yes.
People watching this show from all around central Indiana,
Yes.
they think, wait a minute, can I connect to Hamilton County, or how does that work?
Sure. Yeah, Indiana's unique. For about 31 years now, a state statute has been in place where all 92 counties have a local coordinating council, and that's what the Council on Alcohol and Other Drugs is. It's a local coordinating council, and we, people in those communities can connect with their local coordinating council. They can visit the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute website, and all of the local coordinating council contact information is on that website.
A lot of what we'll talk about is the addiction and the crisis and people that are in and out of jail, but there's also an element of prevention.
Yes.
That's a big, big part of what you guys hope to accomplish.
Yes, definitely. Yes, we have, we've funded several prevention programs within the schools. We also have funded after proms and after graduation, just to help keep kids safe in a good spot. So.
Yeah. There's one group that's called the QRT, or the
Yes.
Quick Response Team. Tell me a little bit about them. What are they all about?
Sure. Over the last, it's been almost 2 years, we have opioid quick response teams. So that the teams are comprised of a law enforcement officer, a police officer, and a peer recovery coach or specialist. And if someone overdoses on an opioid and they survive, our team, Kelly Gunn is the coordinator of the effort. She contacts the person after they're released from the hospital to see if we can do a home visit. So that team of individuals go to the home, and the peer recovery specialist takes the lead on the conversation, and just to discuss what barriers they might have, see if they're interested in treatment, maybe introduce them to the recovery community. It's just to get that person help to hopefully not have another incident of overdose.
I had a chance to talk to some of the members of the QRT, and let's hear from them a little taste of what the Quick Response Team is all about.
The COPE QRT program is our quick response teams for opioid overdose. Essentially what we do is respond to a Narcan-administered opioid overdose within about 72 hours of that event. Our team consists of a paramedic, firefighter, a law enforcement officer, and a peer recovery coach. Those 3 people, if the participant agrees, will go into the home. They will offer resources and referrals to not only the overdose survivor, but to their families as well. So our goal is to prevent death, and then also to facilitate treatment referrals to the appropriate providers.
The mindset of the person is, oh, I just had an overdose, the alcohol could have killed me. So you want to get there quick while that's in their mind, but another thing is you want to get there quickly so they don't have another episode, another overdose, and that could possibly kill them.
When you're dealing with a situation like drug overdose, I mean, it's kind of chaos by definition. I mean, that individual's life, their entire world is chaos. Typically, the parameters or the outside factors that are involved with drug use causes chaos in the home, chaos in the workplace. So just the home lives, the situations you're going into, sometimes the financial situations and the problems they find themselves into has ripple effects far beyond the overdose itself.
People always think that since we're the healthiest county in Indiana that we're not supposed to have an overdose problem, but we're just like every county in Indiana as well too. We do have those individuals who need help, and that's what we're here to do, is provide them that help when they're ready to get that help as well.
If the person's ready to start the journey of recovery, they're absolutely ready and they're very open to us. It's finding the people that want to do that. There are just some people that just don't want to quit yet, and you can't force them to do that, or it's just not going to work. So when you find somebody that's ready, yes, it works very well.
When you see the look of these people's eyes and the despair that they're in, and then when they have that aha moment that we're actually there to help them, you know, specifically from a police officer standpoint, when we're typically looked at in a negative light and we're only there to arrest them, and they see that moment that, wait a minute, this team, these officers, they're here to help me. It's amazing to see that light in their eyes.
My role with the team is to do Narcan education within the community. So we do free Narcan classes, and we also give out free Narcan or naloxone as well too. We're also in charge of OD mapping, which is a great program where we can map all the overdoses within Hamilton County and do some trending data as well too, and let law enforcement know where we're seeing large amounts of overdoses within the county as well too.
I am so glad that all of the cities in the county and the whole county areas are working together on this to make this happen and make this something that's a success. If we didn't have everybody involved like this, it would not be the success that it was.
It's extremely important. It's extremely important because from a law enforcement perspective, definitely we've come to find this is not something we can arrest ourselves out of. You can't arrest yourself out of a disease. You can't legislate your way out of a disease. And this team, attacking it from a true team perspective as an entire community, from the health perspective and law enforcement perspective, peer recovery, the addiction specialists. I mean, we're really attacking this problem forefront as a team, and I think that's going to be more effective in the long run.
It's amazing to hear from the people that have survived the overdose to say, I didn't know this resource was out there. I didn't know you guys were out there. I didn't realize there were so many things that I could do as far as recovery and treatment go. So really a lot of it is educating the public and our communities about what resources are available, and that we are here, we're a non-punitive program, and we just really want to see you succeed on your recovery journey.
Kelly Gunn and her team, they do just great work. But let's look at some of these numbers, Monica, when you look at the surviving drug overdose patient statistics. And this is from 2020.
Yes, we have just so far through August, we have had 44 patients referred to the quick response team. So those are overdose patients that survived. We have 11 patients that have enrolled in a treatment type program. And we have 10 of the patients that were assessed by treatment agencies, and a total of home visits of 21. So we were able to, about half of them, be able to visit them in the home and offer services.
So they're doing really good work.
Yeah.
But we're just getting started here on this week's edition of Connecting Hope. Throughout this show, we're going to hear from some of the members of the Hamilton County Council on Alcohol and Other Drugs. You'll hear from some of them, but when we come back, we're talking prevention at the Noblesville schools. The show is called Connecting Hope, and that's what we're trying to do here. Hi, I'm Will Hampton. Welcome back, along with Monica Greer. We are trying to bring in some great guests throughout this series, and well, we've got another one right here. Last week it was the sheriff. This week it is Sergeant Andrew Rice with the Noblesville Police Department, and also Noblesville Schools Resource Officer. First of all, Sergeant, thank you for coming in. Thanks you for being part of Connecting Hope. How long have you been a resource officer?
So I started in the schools just a little under 4 years ago. I started in October of 2016, so I've been in the schools almost 4 years, and this is my 27th year in law enforcement.
Great. So what do you like about the job?
Well, you know, I think law enforcement in general, one of the things that draws officers into it is that you're doing something different every day. And that holds true in the school environment as well. You know, we spend a lot of times in the school just doing different things, dealing with kids, responding to, you know, whatever situation might take place in the school. Yeah. At the high school level, we deal with a lot of kids that are dealing with, you know, problems at home, problems in school, and we just do our best to get them the resources that they can, you know, use to get through whatever problem that they're having on that particular day.
Yeah, that sounds rewarding to be able to help. How much do you believe that your presence acts as a deterrent for drugs and alcohol?
You know, it's one of those things that's hard in any kind of law enforcement, but in the school environment especially, because, you know, we engage, you know, at the high school level with, you know, 3,200 kids almost, and try to build relationships with them. And you don't always see the kid that you've made a connection with until, you know, maybe even a couple years later. And some of the guys who've been in the schools for 10 years or more will come and talk to you, and they'll say, you know, I had a kid that I didn't even realize I was helping. And 5 years after they graduated, they come up to you and they shake your hand, and they're like, man, just you being there, it turned me around, and it kept me from, you know, whether it's a path towards drugs or, you know, violence or whatever, the presence that you have in the building, sometimes you just never know what impact you might have on the youth.
Well, one of your jobs is you direct traffic, you know, right away in the morning, and so they see you right away.
Yep.
Right away, they know you're there. What would you say if there are best tools for prevention? And that's what we really want to focus on, is the prevention. What are some of the best tools?
You know, from a prevention standpoint, I think, you know, whether it's the school itself or the families, you know, the best thing that we can do with our youth is be involved in their lives. Whether it's this dangerous social media stuff that we're dealing with today that, you know, we didn't have when we were kids. Yeah. The experiences the kids have today with that instant messaging and things like that can really change your life is really tough for parents and teachers. So the biggest thing that we can do is have a grasp on what our kids are doing with their social media and things like that. When we deal with a situation at the high school, whether it's drug related or, you know, a threatening type issue that we have on social media, when you talk to the parents and they have no idea that their kids have these accounts, and that's one of the conversations that I always have with my kids is, if you're going to have something, Dad's going to know about it, and Dad's going to be able to get into it. And, you know, that's important for our families to be able to understand, to be that involved in the kids' social media.
Yeah. Mom and Dad they need to know the password, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we put on some presentations, you know, detailing some of the social media, myself and a couple of the deans a couple years ago, in front of, you know, as many parents as we could get in the room. And that's one of the biggest things that we said was, you've got to be able to get into your kids' stuff so you can see what's going on. And, you know, it's that fine line between giving your kids a little bit of privacy and understanding what's going on. And I'm a firm believer that, you know, we need to be involved, and we need to know what's going on in that part of our kids' lives, even if it is taking away a little bit of their privacy.
Yeah. Yep. Can you name any, without getting personal on anybody's name or class here even, but a specific instance where you know you really made a difference in a student's life?
You know, we talk about some of the triggers and some of the things that we might see going on in a child that might, you know, be something that is a clue that they have a drug or an alcohol issue, or it could be a family-related issue. You know, the multiple absences from school, the defiant behavior. Sometimes you've got changes in their behavior, their judgment, things like that. You know, I can think back to a few years ago when we had a student who was starting to show some of those signs, and the deans and I really got involved and made a really strong attempt to become, you know, somebody that this child could come to. And I always attend the graduations, and I stand in a position at graduation as the kids are kind of coming off the stage and walking back into the room right before they get to a point where, you know, they're out of the crowd's view. And I remember with this particular student that we really spent some time. We went and visited the student at their home. And when this student was walking off the stage, they were walking in line, and the student and I made eye contact, and the student nodded their head as if to tell me, if it hadn't been for what we did, that, you know, they wouldn't have graduated. Yeah. Now, we didn't have a conversation. They didn't say those words, but we both knew when we locked eyes at graduation, you know, the effect that the deans and I had on that particular student, and that one child that you know, for that 1 year was really all it took for me, and I'm locked in.
Yeah. Well, thank you for what you do and for your service.
Very powerful. Thank you. Yeah. So how do you feel parents and teachers can help you with your job, help you do it better or differently? Or
Well, you know, our teachers at Noblesville do a great job. They you know, they're the ones who get to see the kids every day. I'm just a small part of their life. I might get to see them at lunch, you know, in a big, huge environment. The teachers are the ones who get to see them every day, and they share information with us. If they see a kid who's, you know, exhibiting some of those behaviors, they can reach out to the resource officer, the dean, the counselors. So many resources at the high school that they can reach out to be a big help. The parents, you know, one of the biggest hurdles that I've found, and not just in my time as a school resource officer, but as a law enforcement officer in general, is sometimes the parent, it is hard to accept that their child has made a mistake. And when we deal with an issue as a school resource officer, oftentimes we've seen a behavior and we're trying to get the parent to be involved, to take an active role, and the parent is a little bit resistant to the fact that maybe their kid, you know, might be taking this path. And we just encourage them to really look at their kid and get those passwords and do some of those things. And I would say that's the biggest struggle that we have, is that unified front. You know, the school and the parents need to, you know, sometimes accept that maybe my kid can make a mistake.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in, and I really appreciate your time. And there's so much more we could talk about. Will you come in a few weeks as we continue here on this series?
I'd be glad to.
All right.
Thank
Sergeant
you
Rice,
so
thank you
much.
very much. We're going to take a break and be back with more Connecting Hope right after this short break.
So my name is Jim GINDER, and I'm with Hamilton County Health Department. I'm the health education specialist at our office. What I'm going to do today is to show you how to deal with somebody who possibly overdosed on an opiate. So what we're going to do before we do anything is we need to make sure that the scene is safe, because I do not want to become that victim. So we have our mannequin here, so he's unresponsive. So first of all, I'm going to make sure the scene is safe. Then I'm going to come up and shake and shout, "Hey, are you okay? You're okay." He's unresponsive. I'm going to pull out my cell phone and call 911, or have somebody with me call 911. Then I'm going to put my head down by his mouth and nose, then also on his chest. And what you're doing is you are listening and you're feeling. So you don't hear anything and you don't feel the rise and fall of the chest. So you're going to take your Narcan or naloxone. I'm going to open it up. What you're going to do is you're going to take it out of the package, stick it in one of his nostrils, put it in as far as you can, push the button until the button is all the way flat with the device. Then what you're going to do is you need to flip them over. And the reason why you need to flip them over, there's a pretty good chance that they're going to start to vomit after that Narcan starts to work. It takes about 2 minutes for Narcan to work. Roll him back over if you don't see him breathing again, and give a second dose as well. Just remember, when you give Narcan, a lot of times the person will vomit. So that's the reason why I flipped him over. And also that the person can be a little combative when you wake them up. But hopefully the police will be there by the time you need to give that second dose of Narcan, or by the time that the individual starts to wake up as well too. Thank you very much for watching how to take care of someone who has possibly overdosed on an opiate. If you would like more information, you can visit our page at Hamilton County Health Department, which is www.hamiltoncounty.in.gov. Then just hit Health Department, and you can send us an email, or if you're interested in obtaining some Narcan, we can also provide you some Narcan as well too, free of charge.
My childhood was not ideal, and so there was a lot of trauma there. When I started, the first time I got drunk was I was eight years old. My mom was a bartender, my dad wasn't around, it was just, not good. I was a daily drinker by the time I was 16. Me and my twin sister had our own apartment. Our parents died when we were young. So we were kind of raising ourselves and had no idea how to do that. It progressed, over the years into IV heroin use and meth and pretty much anything to where I didn't have to feel things. It took me to being homeless in Indianapolis, and I lived in abandoned houses for 2.5 years and got in a lot of trouble for a solid year. I was in and out of jail. I didn't want to live. I would be upset if I woke up from an overdose. You are completely hopeless, and it's hard to get yourself out of that. The last time that I was in jail, I was there and I was sitting there like nowhere to go. I don't want to get out and go back to doing the same thing that I've been doing, watching people die. I think that I was tired. I didn't want to, hurt people anymore. I was done. I was done. I was tired. It was either this or nothing, I have 2 small kids, that was a big part of it too. I really wanted them to have their mom back. They deserve that. They talk about the promises in the program, and I hear it at church and stuff too, and all that stuff really does come true if you give it a chance, The church part was imperative for me this time, and I think that that's what I was missing all the other times that I tried recovery was God. I didn't understand, and I was searching and searching, and I couldn't grasp what God's love was. When I came here and started going to church, I felt it, and there was absolutely no denying that feeling. It's amazing. I'm getting chills talking about it because it's just something that when you know. And I just pray to God that everybody gets that. I am very proud, and like I said, it keeps me going to give other people that hope. I am not sure what's next. I'm praying about that, and hopefully God will let me know, and I'll just be obedient. But I love to help people, and I love to let the girls that live here see that there's hope.
And welcome back to Connecting Hope. I'm Will Hampton along with Monica Greer, and really what we hope to do on this show every week is just tell good stories. There's a lot of good stories out there, aren't there?
Yes, a lot of success stories, a lot of resources for individuals that are in need, and we just hope that the viewers will respond to that and get what they need.
We do want to thank Aspire. They're one of our sponsors here on Connecting Hope. And next week, Daryl Mitchell from Aspire and Progress House will be our guest, won't he?
Yes, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Daryl.
Daryl's a great guy. I've been working with him for years and just very passionate about the work that he's doing. Progress House has been very successful with the men that they've served, and they're hoping to, with Aspire's help, get additional recovery homes closer to home in Hamilton County.
So that'll be next week right here on Connecting Hope. Monica, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. We do appreciate that. We will see you next week on Connecting Hope.